Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Impossible versus Matches, the show where we take some crazy pop culture characters and make them fight. We don't actually make them fight, but we make the scenario that leads to them fighting, much like a Freddy versus Jason, King Kong versus Godzilla thing. And if you don't know the rules already, we're not doing anything that's already happened, anything that's commonly talked about, no same universe, and no real people. Other than that, I've got my good friend Rachel with me. Rachel, say hello.
Hello, glad to be back.
And we each have a randomizer filled with 50 characters of our own choices. Rachel has her own little spinning wheel. I have my spinning wheel. Each one has 50 different characters on it. And in order for us to do our matchups, she'll spin one, and then I'll spin the other, and that'll be our two characters. So, Rachel, would you like to start this episode since I started the last one you were on?
Sure.
Okay.
That works.
Your first character, your first scenario. Okay, this one's pretty easy. It's Goofy.
Okay.
Now, who's Goofy going against?
Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
From Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Okay,
Right.
fantastic.
Okay. Goofy versus Ramona Flowers. Oh, God. Okay, give me a second.
All right. How does Goofy, Disney's lovable, stupid dog man with a heart, find a way to start a fight with Ramona Flowers from Scott Pilgrim?
Okay. Like, the obvious one doesn't make sense. Goofy would have to be fighting Scott to say, like, oh, Goofy was Ramona's ex-boyfriend.
You could say that Ramona is Max's mom.
Okay.
Why not?
That could work. They're fighting over custody.
Maybe. Alternatively, you can always, bend the rules for this. Like, you could say that, like, they go to Disneyland and the costume Goofy is like the real Goofy.
Okay, yeah.
It's all fiction here, so why not?
Okay. Actually, I like that. Okay, so let's say, Scott and Ramona decide to go on a vacation to Disneyland.
Of course.
And while at Disneyland, they taking pictures with the characters. They bump into Goofy, let's get an autograph, let's get a picture. Goofy instantly falls in love with Ramona. She's the manic pixie dream girl of his dreams. So he just starts like going around the park following them and like tripping Scott and pestering him and like antagonizing him, trying to get him to leave, get him frustrated. Well, Ramona catches on. She's not having it. So, in front of the Epcot ball, they decide to duel it out, Scott Pilgrim style, dueling.
It lasts for quite a while because he's a cartoon
it's dramatic.
character.
Yes.
But he doesn't really feel pain because he's Goofy.
Yeah.
So it goes on for quite a while. Scott doesn't want to make a scene at the park.
Scott's like, it's fine, Ramona. Let's go. Let's ride a
ride.
Not
having it.
Ramona's not having it.
She doesn't have that level of chill.
No.
I like this. This is going off the scenario of going to the Disney park, that when you meet the character, it's actually the person.
Yeah.
It's the real thing.
Thank you for giving me that.
Well, sometimes you just gotta stretch it sometimes,
You have more
Just
practice
stretch it.
at this than I do.
Well, we try. You know what? This keeps it sharp. You, this is your second episode. You'll get used to it. I'm just glad to have you on.
Thank you. That's all I got for that.
Okay, solid. I was just hoping that Goofy would get picked so I could take him off my list because I don't think Goofy usually makes for a very interesting fight.
Yeah, he's not like a fight person, but I like the idea of him like simping over Ramona.
It's pretty funny. I like your hair, but no, it's like I feel like Goofy's matchup would be funnier the more mature the character he's going against is.
Yeah,
Because if Goofy somehow started beef with like Scarface, then I feel like that just writes itself. But
yeah.
anyone
Oh,
else,
that'd be a good movie. I'd watch that.
Goofy versus Scarface, Goof Face. All right. So go ahead and spin your wheel. I guess we'll move on to the next little scenario, and that'll be my turn.
We have. Oh, you're gonna like this one, Shaggy.
Shaggy. That means I have to take Shaggy off of my list.
I kind of thought he'd be on your list when I put him on mine, but
Well, I feel like he's one of those characters. He's much like Shrek, where if you're going to be on this, he's one of the first characters you'll think about. But
yeah.
Shaggy, who's he going to go against? Oh, this is. I don't know if I want to do this one because like it technically has happened.
Oh.
Technically, Shaggy versus Jason.
That has happened. But like also it's a good matchup.
I feel like it's flawless, but like there's a Robot Chicken episode that does that. Like
Yeah, no. I remember that.
that does that completely. So I think I think going by my own rules, I'm going to have to. They've already done
That
it.
seems fair.
They've already done it exactly how
It should
it
be
would
done.
it would probably go. I mean, Jason is going to kill Shaggy,
Yeah.
and Shaggy's obviously going to investigate Crystal Lake. Like there's no other scenario. So I'm just
Yeah.
going to go again. And okay, this one's a little bit better. Still probably the same idea, but it's Bowser.
I
Bowser
like that. I like
from the
that.
Mario franchise.
You get the
Um,
good ones.
so it's just the luck of the draw, I guess. So in this scenario, there's no like cross-dimensional thing. The Mushroom Kingdom is just a place you can go to. Actually, no. So Mystery Incorporated goes to Brooklyn. Um, because they're getting reports that there are ghosts that are haunting a local pizzeria. Now they go and they arrive at Mario Brothers Pizzeria because we're going to go by the lore of the Mario like 80s cartoon, the Super Show, where I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure that they're in like a pizzeria or something. Where like the old timey lore where like Mario is an actual like just guy from Brooklyn who
Yeah.
somehow ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom through like a pipe, and that's going to be the same kind of thing here. So the gang is all investigating the area, and they find a a big pipe, and ghosts are coming out of it. They're the booze from Mario. So
That
I
makes
mean,
sense.
simple enough. And so they're like, someone's gotta check out the pipe, but there's only one of us that's skinny enough to fit through. Shaggy. And he's like I'm not going down there. So like, would you do it for a Scooby snack? And he's like, make it 3. So they throw some Scooby snacks down the pipe, and he goes down there, and he ends up in the hub of all the ghosts, Luigi's mansion.
Oh.
Um, So, he is getting rightfully scared out of his mind because Luigi's Mansion Ghost will jump scare the hell out of you, especially if you're, a complete chicken like Shaggy is. Um,
These are like the first real ghosts Shaggy seen.
yeah, if we don't count, like Zombie Island and,
Oh, yeah.
other stuff.
Oh, yeah,
But,
yeah, yeah.
but you know what? All that stuff doesn't that never hardens Shaggy at all. He always is still scared of the next one, even if it's like a bedsheet ghost.
That's
So
true.
So, he is running through. He somehow he ends up finding the exit of Luigi's Mansion where all the ghosts are coming through, and he runs out, finds another pipe, thinks it'll like take him back. The pipe takes him just right to Bowser's castle, where there are also boos. So he thinks that this is probably, the source. So, he's going through because he's clearly lost the rest of the gang. And I'm pretty, you know what? He's a scaredy cat. He probably runs into Luigi, who's also a scaredy cat. This actually
Yeah.
worked perfectly. And Luigi's like, "Yeah, you can go home. You just have to beat Bowser." So, he goes through and he he ends up, finding Bowser, and because Bowser really in every Mario game, you beat him, you get whatever the goal of the game
Yeah.
is. So, first he of course tries to like unmask Bowser. It doesn't work. And then Shaggy dips into his meme powers where he's actually like where his power level is too strong.
Yeah.
And he has to fight Bowser. Bowser goes down, and then he ends up to a pipe that leads him back, and he's like fuck this, man.
Is
He's
the
done.
pizza shop no longer haunted?
Irrelevant.
Okay.
That was just how that's just how they get there.
Okay.
The logistics of it don't matter to me, but basically, to summarize, they go and investigate a haunting. Turns out it's a Mario level haunting with booze and stuff. He ends up in the Mushroom Kingdom and has to fight Bowser because, if you beat Bowser in a Mario game, you pretty much get what you want. It's usually just peace or the princess back, but if Shaggy beats Bowser, he gets a pipe that goes back to Brooklyn, and he's like I'm not doing any more of this.
I just got like a visual that like I want to share. Just imagining Shaggy going in and out of pipes like they do doors in Scooby-Doo.
There's like the montage song in the back too, where
Yeah.
like he goes in one pipe, comes out of another one, and then like goes back in that one, comes out a completely different.
Yeah.
Piranha Plant comes out of one. Shaggy and Drag comes out of another one.
Yeah.
It's absolutely that's flawless. Good. That I'm fine with that one.
That was a good one.
So now it's back to you, and I am going to spin the wheel. Okay, you've got a classic cinema character. This is Norman Bates.
Okay. He was almost on my list. I don't know that much about.
Do you know Psycho?
I don't know if I know well enough to do this.
Have you seen Psycho?
A long time ago.
Okay, well, you've technically seen it, so I'm going to drop the spoilers for this 60, 70-year-old movie. So Norman Bates runs the Bates Motel,
Yeah.
and his mom is dead. What you don't know is that he did kill his mom, but now like he's so attached to his mom, he killed her because she was spending time with like a new boyfriend instead of him. So he killed like both of them through poison, and now he like lives he lives his mom's life through him, so he'll like dress up as his mom and like talk to himself and stuff, and every time like someone comes to the motel, like an attractive woman that he's interested in, the mom persona takes over and is like protective against him, and she's like, I can be the only woman in your life or something like that. Then he goes
Okay.
and kills him. But he lives in a house behind the Bates Motel, which is like a big mansion where his mom's body is still.
Ooh. Okay.
It's very eerie.
I went ahead and spun mine, and I'm actually kind of excited. I got Burton Guster from Psych. I don't know if you have you seen Psych?
I don't know who these people are at all, but
Okay.
I can already tell that this is probably actually very fitting. So you got to go.
It is. One, you need to see that show. Second, Gus is Sean Spencer, who pretends to be a psychic detective. He's his sidekick.
Okay.
And he like works in pharmaceuticals. Like that's his like day job, but he helps Sean solve crimes. So it's fitting. What I see happening is Gus is a lover, and he's just trying to find that special someone, but he tends to always fall in love with the crazies.
Okay.
So we're gonna move the time period up to modern times.
Okay.
Gus is on Tinder.
Oh no. I saw where this was going when you said that he falls in love with the wrong types. Keep going,
So
and I'll say if I called it.
this kind of pulls a little bit from our last, I mean, like not pulls, but repeats, I guess. Gus gets catfished.
Oh my god, that's exactly what I thought you were going to. Is he being catfished by Norman Bates's mom, who is actually Norman Bates?
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Which connects because Sean is investigating deaths of women and it leads him to this motel where Gus sees this woman he's matched with on Tinder.
Jesus Christ.
And he's like, no way, Sean, not this time. You're
Less
not
than
taking
a
my
mile away.
woman. What?
Less than a mile away. Wow.
So, you know, not long story short, but they're investigating. They end up, finding evidence that, he's living this double life. He's pretending to be his mom, and he's murdering these people, these women. Gus walks in on him killing somebody, and he screams like the scaredy cat he is, very much like Shaggy would in the last matchup. And they end up, catching him in the act. So they just, police show up, they arrest him, kind of bing, bang, boom. All I got was the Tinder thing. That was my inspiration.
You know what? That's fine. It's funny enough. Just the fact that Norman would set up a profile for his mom but it's actually just him as his mom is, that's weird and unsettling enough to be like a modern retelling of Psycho.
Yeah. I can see it happening.
You should definitely give that movie a fresh
I need
watch.
to rewatch it. But I could definitely see Gus, if you know his like relationship with Sean and their dynamic, he would just be like, no, you're not investigating my girlfriend again. She's the one. You can't. Not all my girlfriends are killers.
And then turns out to not only be a killer, but also a man.
Yeah.
Yes. An insane man that is a murderer.
Yes.
I like that. That works out because it's impossible. These characters would never cross over.
No.
Yet but somehow their professions just line up.
Oh, you know what?
Yeah.
It's not that the matchup happened, but there's one episode. I don't know if it was more than one that pull off of Hitchcock films. But it's not the actual.
It's not the characters going together.
No.
Well, you know what? No one would have brought that up ever, so I'm going to.
A Psych fan would.
Yeah, well, I don't know them. I show my rules. Well, I like that one. That was pretty solid. So
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess we'll move on to the next scenario. Go ahead and
I'll go
spin
ahead
your
and
wheel.
spin my wheel. Um, Steve Urkel. It was right on the line.
Steve Urkel. Huh. Okay. My character's Ellen Ripley from the
Alien.
from the Alien franchise. I think Ellen Ripley's got to be the title of this episode just to really misdirect people. Okay.
Oh my god.
I don't know if I know enough about alien lore, but you know what? Fuck it. So, have you seen all of the Alien movies that have Ripley in them?
Yeah.
Does she die in Alien 3?
Oh wait, I haven't seen 3. I lied.
So you've seen Alien and Aliens.
Yep.
Okay, that's the extent of mine. I don't know if she died. Let's assume that she's not. She is, above. She is out in space on a ship. Meanwhile, Steve Urkel is down on Earth wherever he is, and he is bothering Carl something fierce. Like, hi, Carl. Look what I've made, and it's like a super telescope that like sees into space. Because you know what, Steve Urkel has made, a suave clone of himself. He's made like a robot. He's done a lot of this stuff. I don't think a super like hyper HD telescope is
Yeah.
anything out of the realm of Family Matters
That
possibilities.
seems legit.
And Carl's all pissed at him because he's like, "You're going to use that to look into my house," and he's like, "No, I'm using it to look into space. See?" And he looks up and he sees Ripley's spaceship like way out there, and he's like, "I'll send them a beacon." So he sends some like Jimmy Neutron-esque beacon to the ship. I don't know how he does it, but it doesn't matter. Completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
Ripley sees this and starts heading toward Earth. Meanwhile, this is not the first time that Steve has done anything space related. So Steve Urkel, um, he also built a tractor beam.
Okay.
Why?
Yeah.
Why not? Why not? You know what? This
Add
is Ellen Ripley versus Steve Urkel. We're just going to go
anything
from
can happen.
there. He has somehow gotten an alien egg.
Oh.
He made it himself, actually. He has pulled using a tractor beam. He is. You know what he did in the first movie? Ripley sends the xenomorph like out into space,
Mm-hmm.
and somehow this has actually ended up to Earth, or at least part of it. It will probably burn up a bit entering the atmosphere, but like probably its
It's an
head or
alien. It
something.
can tough skin.
Well, part of it survives, and it happens. And Steve Urkel finds the remains of the xenomorph alien, and he starts to clone it. He makes his own egg, and being the scientist that he is, and Steve's repeated obsession with making new things based off of himself, like the Steve
Oh
Urkel
god.
puppet and the robot and like the clone of himself and
Oh
all of these other
no.
Steves. So he has actually mixed the xenomorph DNA with his own Steve
Oh
Urkel DNA.
no.
So, and it's incubating right now. So, but by the time that Ellen Ripley shows up and is incredibly disappointed to find that Steve Urkel is the one that sent her that sent her this trying to be the egg hatches and starts, killing the Family Matters cast. and it emerges, and we see a xenomorph that is standing like upright, and it has suspenders on.
Cinders.
It has the suspenders, and it's just leaving like it leaves a path of destruction in its wake, and like Carl Winslow is like he's like gasping for air, but like his his windpipe's been like slashed, like he's there, and like just the Family Matters cast is all slaughtered now due to this Steve Urkel xenomorph. And at the same time, in unison, the xenomorph Steve Urkel and the real Steve Urkel just go, "Did I do that?" And so Ripley once again has to fight an alien, and since the alien is part Steve Urkel, it is not strong in the slightest, but still stronger than your average human, but not cool enough to beat Ripley,
Yeah.
Who enlists the help of the Steve robot, and his other thing. So basically, she has to beat the Steve Urkel alien, and she does with the Steve bot or whatever it's called. And so that is one version of her versus Steve, because the alien is technically part Steve. But then we get to our main matchup.
Oh yeah.
Because Steve's like, "Oh, it looks like there were a few kinks in that one. I'll make sure to make it better next time."
She's like, "Nah."
And she's like, "There won't be a next time," because he wants to keep breeding more Steve Xeno Steves, and
I'd buy that Funko.
thus making Steve Urkel the alien queen. So this results in a Steve Urkel lab room brawl between Ellen Ripley and Steve Urkel. Steve Urkel surprisingly being stronger than...
He's able to fend her off for a little bit.
Yeah, every time she hits him with like a really good punch, he turns into Stefan, who is stronger and more confident. And it basically just goes back and forth. But of course, eventually Ellen Ripley will annihilate Steve Urkel, and she gets back in the ship to go off to wherever she's needed.
That one's good. I'm
happy with that.
The way you made them meet was very, like, it was hard, but you did it.
Convoluted as hell. But I feel like that would totally be a thing where Steve somehow finds the alien, and the first thing he would do is make his own alien.
Yeah.
That's like part of him, because he has this reoccurring trend of just making versions of himself, and in a way he's a prime narcissist.
That was perfect.
Did I do that? Since the xenomorph takes on the physical attributes of what it bonds with, then this xenomorph would be, walking around like Steve, and would have like the suspenders would be, part of it. Like he wouldn't be wearing like the clothes.
Yeah.
But it would be like an actual, like, part of its skin would be like suspenders. And he's just like, "Nah." He's got a little bow tie on. And that's exactly how Steve Urkel would fight Ellen Ripley.
I like it.
So that is our fourth scenario. Now, if you're interested, we can do a fifth for this one. Let you go one more time if you want.
Sure, we'll try.
Okay. So I'm going to spin the wheel for you for our last one, and you are going to get... No, I can't. You know what? I can't in good conscience do this one. I'm spinning again.
That's fine.
I got Officer Carl Winslow, who is also from Family Matters.
Okay.
So I'm not going to do that one, because
okay. We just did, yeah.
We just did Family Matters.
I was like, it feels repetitive.
Yeah. Okay, here's a good one. Also a sitcom. Michael Kelso.
Ooh, Kelso, okay.
Kelso.
Let me spin mine.
Be a good matchup. Kelso from the landmark That 70s Show.
Okay, they're from the same show. Hold on.
You got it, that 70s show character?
Yeah.
Pretty sure Kelso has had an altercation with all of them in any way.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. We got Chicken Little.
Who?
Chicken Little?
Chicken Little. Okay. From the Disney film Chicken Little, or what
Yeah.
version of Chicken Little are you
Chicken
using?
Little, the sky is falling. Chicken
Okay.
Little. Okay.
Really
Okay.
digging into some deep folk tales there.
Making the list was definitely like a challenge, but it was fun. Okay. Shit, this is hard. Okay. Kelso and Chicken Little. Where would they be in the same place? How would they get to the same place?
You know, if you want, I'm just gonna let you re-roll if you want to
Yeah,
do
I'm gonna re-roll them. As much as I like Chicken Little, I can't do that.
That's fine. I mean, I would the crazier the matchup for Kelso is, the better, but that just doesn't sound like it'd be a fun time.
Okay, Wreck-It Ralph.
That's better. I can see where this is going, but I want to.
Where this is going?
I can see where this can go.
Why don't we make this a collaborative one?
Okay, a collaborative one. All right. You want me to start?
Yeah, you start.
Okay, well, simple enough. Kelso likes to go to the arcade.
Money moves.
It's the late. I mean, so
okay.
That 70s show ends at probably the mid 70s, I want to say.
I think that's right.
No. I think it ends probably in the later half of the 70s. I want to say maybe
like not close enough to the 80s.
Yeah, not close enough. Wreck-It Ralph is established as an 80s video game character, but you know what?
Kelso, for the purpose, we'll say 7. Oh, he does. Okay.
Kelso doesn't grow up very much. Like, he makes a little bit of changes in, that 70s.
He has small character development, but he never becomes mature.
Yeah, he's never totally mature. So in the 80s, he's not much older. He's maybe he goes from being a teenager, he's in his 20s, but he goes to the arcade.
Okay. So I see, he's in the arcade, he's playing his games. He's playing Wreck-It Ralph. Yes. And there's a, energy surge. He gets shocked.
Mm-hmm.
And is magically, through the shock, transported into the game.
Okay.
So, to Ralph, he just looks like another one of the tenants in the building he's wrecking.
Yeah.
To Kelso, he thinks it's real. It's real to Kelso. He's gonna a brick's gonna land on him and he's gonna die if he lets Ralph wreck this building.
Right.
You can continue.
So going off of your scenario, then he would break the laws of the game because everyone just thinks that he's one of the guys in the building. But he's now breaking the laws of the game because those characters are not supposed to fight back.
Yeah, they just stay still.
But he's like, he can't let Ralph wreck the building because he thinks that his life is in danger, which, I mean, I guess technically it is, because if you die in the game, you die for real.
Yeah, those are the rules of being put into a video game.
Yeah, obviously. So, he starts he goes up there and everyone's like, what are you doing? And he starts fighting and he starts, causing some beef with Ralph.
Starts a revolution in the building. All the tenants are like, we don't have to let our building get wrecked.
Especially after a power surge, because no one's in the arcade anymore.
Exactly.
But then,
so Kelso's fighting style, I feel like he'd get physical, but it's not like he can't fight.
Right.
He's like throwing bricks at Ralph,
Mm.
saying, "Hey, man."
You can't do that.
Can't do that. Um, and Ralph's like, "Gotta wreck it." Um,
I feel like they both start brawling and it ends up taking them into the other games.
yeah, I feel like Ralph would be very confused too, like what's happening, you know,
Right.
why is he fighting against me? This is how the game works.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
I'm going to segue this into what I originally thought in the pattern this I thought was going to go. I'm going to combine the ideas.
Okay.
So they're in the power strip.
Okay.
Because going by Wreck-It Ralph lore, all of the games are connected via a power strip that acts like a subway station or a train station or something. They're in there, and another power surge happens while they're in there, and because if you've watched Wreck-It Ralph, Ralph Breaks the Internet, then you
I
know
got
that
halfway through and I fell asleep.
you'll know that there are no rules and everything is complete bullshit in Wreck-It Ralph, so who cares?
Yeah.
Because the second movie just breaks all of the rules that the first one establishes. So
They
in another power surge, they come out of the power strip, and then there's Kelso as a real person, and then there's Wreck-It Ralph, who is now in the arcade, not as like a real person. No,
but
you
like
know what?
in real life.
No, it's his voice actor. He comes out, and it's John C. Reilly, dressed in his Wreck-It Ralph costume, and they're both real, and he recognized him. He's like, "Hey, you were the guy that was playing the game earlier." And then now they're fighting like in the arcade as real people, and I don't know how that would work because I don't know if he's still strong.
I still feel like Kelso would get beat. Like I don't think he'd win.
No, Kelso can't win against his friends.
Yeah, so
He can't win against Eric.
I feel like at the end he'd probably like they'd fight for a little bit and he would just like kick him out of the arcade.
Yeah, or he'd just be like, "Okay, fine, stop, I'll go," and then he goes out.
Yeah.
How I originally was thinking about this going would be like, when Kelso was playing Wreck-It Ralph, it's like too hard for him, and he keeps cussing out the game. He's like hitting him. He's like, "Stupid game," and then like eventually Ralph gets like so pissed he goes to the power strip and like somehow finds a way out. And he comes out. He's like, "Stupid game, huh?"
Stupid Kelso.
Yeah, and then they start fighting each other like that.
I could see that too.
That's a fine scenario. I'm fine with how outlandish it is.
Yeah.
Because Ralph Breaks the Internet just breaks all of the rules of the first Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
So it's absolutely stupid. It's not particularly a good movie, but it's entertaining.
Yeah.
But they both end up in the real world, and real world Wreck-It Ralph is John C. Reilly, like in overalls, and then they fight like that. And it
Would that be
basically
like breaking your real person rule though?
Well, no, because that's just what Wreck-It Ralph looks like as a real person. Is John C. Reilly.
Okay, that just sounds like a loophole, but okay.
No, it's not actually John C. Reilly.
Okay.
It's just that's what
it just
he would
looks
look
like him.
as
Okay.
a real person. So like,
Gotcha.
because that's his voice actor. It's like when we use, it's like using Kelso. It doesn't mean that Ashton Kutcher
Okay.
is the person. It's the character they're playing. So it's like when we use other sitcom characters, it's not like Jaleel White is Steve Urkel. Steve Urkel is his own person.
Okay.
So in this scenario, John C. Reilly is Wreck-It Ralph.
Okay. I can agree to that.
And also, who cares? It's Michael Kelso versus Wreck-It Ralph. Things
Your
don't
show,
matter.
your rules.
things don't matter here. The rule is there are no rules and no real people.
And a couple of rules.
And no Goku versus Superman. It's just, I want things to stay outlandish. I don't want them to be, because if I start talking with some of the other guys about Goku versus Superman, it's going to end up as a whole other discussion
that would be
that goes
one
30
episode.
minutes. And because then people are like, because if you start talking about things like that, then people will be like, well, no, they'd win. And I'm like, well, it's not about how they'd win.
Yeah.
It's because like a lot of these one things will be like complete curb stomps. Like an example I use early on is like if George Costanza fought King Kong, obviously King Kong is going to beat the hell out of George Costanza. There would be nothing left. But the comedy comes from how did George Costanza, one, find King Kong, and two, antagonize him enough to pick a fight with George Costanza. It's just the more ridiculous it is, the better. But when it starts getting into like Marvel versus DC or things like that, then it becomes a who would win, and then that's not as entertaining.
Yeah.
There's plenty of shows like that. Go watch Death Battle if that's what you're after. Well, that's the conclusion to this episode.
Thank you for having me again.
This has been my good friend Rachel. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time. Or at least I will. Who knows?